All right, hello. Welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging and Friends. We are finally, at long last, back to Deadlands again. It's been 4 weeks since we played, and then it was like another 4 weeks since we played previously. So in the past 8 weeks, we've basically played like two sessions, but we're back finally, and we get to start up Act 2 or Part 2 of the Blood Drive campaign. We finished it up last time. Crazy, kind of a crazy end. Where Cuspid was flying through the air. Dawson was doing some crazy parkour. Ives was eating people, so that's pretty par for the course.
Par for the course.
Like that. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's a shame Adam wasn't there. That was the only downside. So oh no, my forest has just told me I've lost connection to the server. We're having some technical difficulties today. I can still see everything. I think we're okay, but it's fine. We need character sheets and stuff like that. So, yeah. Okay, so hopefully folks can hear us. But yeah, let's get going. Let's just do a refresh of who everyone's playing, whether you have your character sheet up or not. So just tell us who you're playing. We'll probably dive into... We're going to do some like interludes and some sort of montage, transition stuff. So we can kind of do some of like, what did you learn to do over the last couple of weeks type of thing. So we're gonna have a little bit of a time jump. But just tell us generally who you playing. That's all. That's good for now. So Jeremy, who the hell's Dr. Cuspid?
Yes, I'm Dr. Byron Cuspid. I'm just a simple, humble dentist here to help my friends make their way across the frontier. And I do practice some of what they call the new science, but it's all perfectly harmless, I assure you.
Yeah. I mean, it's harmless. Yeah. Sure. That's partially true. Okay. Okay. And you recently flew, which was fun, right? Like you recently got in your... Yeah, it was good. And you did didn't you do like a Iron Man type of like smash to the ground at one point too, I think?
Yeah, you told me there was a large conglomeration of our opponents all together. So I decided to just dive bomb the rocket pack into them and then just let go of the rocket pack and cast the armor upon myself.
That makes sense.
Death Wish is a hell of a hindrance.
Is it a hindrance? I don't know. It results in really cool stuff. So yeah, I don't know. All right, next up we've got Jack Dawson. So Matt, tell us about this hoser.
Good day. I'm Jack Dawson of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I'm down here tracking some nasty creatures, and I've met up with these fine folks, and I've got to keep them safe now. It's my duty.
Fine folks.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The doctor. He's a real nice guy. He helps people.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure. Okay, yeah. All right, that's fine. All right, yeah. Praise Jack. That is. It's been a while since I actually got to say that. Praise Jack. So Jack, last time we saw him, he was doing parkour off the backs of cattle, and shooting people with shotguns in the assault or the fight with the Socrates Galt's gang. And then bottom row, Adam's back. Yay! We've got Eustace again. Adam, tell us about Eustace Ellsworth.
Well, Eustace is not useless, but there's one thing I seen some shit. But other than that, I don't really remember it. There's something about some man flying, another man being some sort of crimson something or another. It's all a blur. It's almost like I wasn't even there, but I was there. I just must have drank it all away.
That makes sense. Maybe that is like the whole time Eustace was there with you guys, just no one really remembers because it was just too hectic. It was just absolutely too hectic. Okay, next up, we've got our resident cannibal. We've got John Ives. Chuck, tell us about John.
Hey there. I'm John Ives, gunslinger, people eater. I shoot things real good. When the going gets tough, I consume the flesh of my fallen foes, which empowers me to fell more foes. And the things that I worked on is not being afraid of the dark, and it was quite successful. I went out there at night with the help of Dr. Cuspid, and I just shot at everything that looked like it was dark. And I killed 3 owls and a coyote, and after that, not scared of the dark no more.
A ranch hand named Steven that no one really liked anyway, so it's...
Nah, I think I made it a better place doing that
Probably.
one.
Yeah, the world is a better place.
Yeah.
And then finally we've got Anna. Melissa, tell us about Anna.
Yeah, so Anna's our ranch hand. She is the best harmonica player in all of the states that we have traveled through in the
I'd
course
play
of
it, but
this.
the mods aren't working, so I can't do it.
No worries. So with my advance, I thought it was about time. We've been doing a lot of writing, so oh, hey,
I realized I
here
could
we
play it
are.
manually. I didn't actually have to use Stream Deck. I don't know what I was doing. It's good.
So yeah, I am better at writing than I was before. So I increased my writing to match my agility.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know where that's coming from. You also have Devil Eyes still. Devil Eyes. Did we? I can't remember if Devil Eyes was featured in our roundup at Galt, but yeah, from the very beginning, that crazy, super strong horse that no one else was able to break. You were able to do it. All right. Let's see. I am getting tons of lost connection to the server, attempting to reestablish. Is anyone else getting those? They're terrifying me
Yep.
every time I see
Yes.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
here. I'm good.
them. All right. So let's dive back in. All right. So it started Act 2. So it's just like sort of a quick recap of like, the story thus far. This started in Texas. These are all, disparate drifters. A few of them kind of knew each other ahead of time. I think Cuspid and Dawson were sort of a package deal for a little bit, and Eustace and Anna have some backstory. But ultimately, you started down in Texas near El Paso. You signed up with the Lazy S, which is run by an older man with a history by the name of Bill Sutter, and his niece Abby, and his friend Luke Canton, who two of them kind of go back a ways. And you signed up for, I think it was about $30 a day or a week, I can't remember, money, and you all got into a little bit of a ruckus right off the bat with the Bayou Vermilion, one of the larger major train folks, and that kind of hounded you for a bit as the trail began. You all were kind of hunted here and there by a fellow by the name of Tesser, who apparently has some history with Bill Sutter, and was signed up at some point with the Bayou Vermilion, and kind of doing some strange sort of raised from the dead shenanigans, as Bayou is known to do. You managed to outpace him, defeat him, kind of every time you came into encounter with him. You had a couple other weird encounters here and there. I think Byron at one point, when you guys were exploring this like haunted or abandoned homestead, got these teeth that seem to still kind of rattle every now and then. All of you've got these small little dolls that just so happen to look exactly like you, that we haven't quite figured out exactly what those things do and what the relevance of those are. And at a certain point, as you guys crossed out of just before you crossed out of New Mexico, you were near Roswell. You had an encounter with the U.S. freaking Army when a rocketeer kind of blew up into the sky, died on the ground. Cuspid recovered the machinery, and then little Timmy murdered a U.S. Army man protecting the stuff. Little Timmy has been John Ives's pupil, but probably not. That's probably not how John Ives wants it. Is a little kid who has been learning the wonders of cannibalism throughout, and he's growing more and more each day into a big bad. You crossed over from New Mexico into Colorado, and you started hearing about this Colonel Socrates Galt, who apparently had the backing of the Wichita Witches, and people were really afraid of him. And at a certain point, you had an encounter. He came and he stole your herd. He just took it all, killed a couple people. Actually, you lost a few folks, including a few ones that we know the names of, like Calloway and Stinky Pete as well, also died. And then a couple nameless folks as well. To rescue them, you all charged recklessly into a box canyon where they had the herd set up, and we had an absolute wonderful dramatic task where, had they failed, it would have been a party wipe. Adam, I'm not sure if you heard about this, but we did two dramatic tasks. The first one, they failed, and then I gave them an option. You can try again, but the fail state is that everyone dies, or you can run away like cowards. And they decided to go for it, and so we ended up having this amazing fight where I think Anna and Jack were the two that kind of closed in on Socrates Galt, whereas Byron, Cuspid, and Ives kind of took care of like the large crew that was near the herd itself. And eventually you got your herd back, you got some captives back, you lost some people, but you were able to kind of sort of heal and recuperate. And so that's kind of the big Act 1 sort of summary, generic summary. So Act 2 is going to begin a little while after. So there's going to be a bit of a time shift here. As the Lazy S didn't really linger around the town of Exposition and Dogleg, which is where you all were with Galt for that long. And instead, Sutter was kind of keen to get the crew back on the road again, heading up to Denver. So travel was mercifully peaceful for a bit, but kind of somber at times, as there were some folks that had died, folks that had lost friends. And not only that, but the herd, or the drive, I should say, was a bit short-handed. So everyone was kind of working twice as hard. But you didn't have any like real major violence, occasional coyote attack and such. But you just squeezed out the pee and bottled it, and you'll probably sell it later, as Chuck would say. And eventually you all made it to Denver. So we're going to pick up right around Denver. Bill's been kind of going into the city, trying to sell the cattle. Those who survived have been taking an opportunity to blow off steam in the big city, recover supplies, etc. And around the herd itself, which is parked outside the city to the southeast, everything's been fairly simple and quiet for a better part of a week at this point. Been riding the edges, rounding up stragglers here and there, nothing more than that. Some folks are swapping stories around the chuck wagon still, about Lowe's lost, some of the heroic deeds. We're still telling the story about what happened down at the canyon. And it's been a nice reprieve. So what we're going to do is to sort of flesh out some of this montage here of this time jump. We're going to do some interludes, if you recall. Y'all remember how these work? So the focus is going to be on these weeks. So it could be either, so when it comes to your turn, like it could be either like immediately following the fight with Galt. It could be during the couple weeks travel it took to get to Denver. It could be over the past week as you've been parked around Denver. It could be in the city. It could be out in the wild. It could be anywhere you want. Is basically whatever you want to do. And feel free to incorporate like NPCs and things like that. But we're going to do a quick thing of interludes. And you can also maybe talk about, what have you done? Like, what did you do? Like, what is your advance and things like that. Does that sound all right to everybody?
Got it.
Sure.
Right. Let me go ahead and deal out what everyone gets. I don't know. I feel like there's not as many people in this foundry table as there were a minute ago, so I'm not sure if y'all got kicked out. But I'll call out what you have. We're having some, again, technical difficulties tonight. All right, so we've got spades. We've got 3. So Jack, Anna, Eustace, you all have spades. Ives, you got a club. Cuspid, you got a heart. So let's start with spades. So if you're doing spades, remember that in interlude you have 3 choices. You can do a downtime story, you can do a backstory, or you can do something about the trek. So for spades, downtime is quiet contemplation. What have you been doing by yourself? It could be a great victory or a personal triumph. That's the backstory. Or it could be the trek. You had some sort of difficult obstacle along the way. And how did you negotiate that obstacle? So since we have 3 people with spades, those are your choices. We'll start with you guys. And again, that's Jack, Anna, and Dr. Cusp. Sorry, Jack, Anna, and Eustace. Excuse me. Does anybody want to volunteer to go first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
All right.
So what was the first choice? It was Downtime. Okay. So
usually
you said,
quiet contemplation.
Yeah, you said downtime. You said montage. I need a hero in my head. But Eustace started taking up Timmy and teaching him the ways of the fist, the headbutt, the gin, and this time spent in quiet contemplation is taking his vow of nonviolence and expanding upon that doctrine and training, much like an old wizened person and a young pupil, sort of Karate Kid like. And so he's coming up with an art form for this vow of nonviolence. So that is where he's going to go. He's probably going to take martial artist. I can't apply it to my character sheet because Foundry's having issues, but that's what I think I'm going with.
Okay, that sounds great. And did you say Timmy was part of this? You're kind of bringing him. Okay.
Oh
okay.
Yeah. So, just what to do at certain times. They go to Denver, get some eggs, make an omelet.
Okay. All right, fair enough. And this is probably Timmy's first time going into Denver, and so the fact that, or going into any big city, he's lived in small towns, so the fact, when you promised him the ability to go into the big town was probably enough to get him off his butt. And he was certainly Timmy's been having a weird couple of weeks because if you Adam isn't privy to this, but he saw some things during the attack on Galt's camp, especially by Ives, where Ives was just doing Ives just let go and just did the full cannibalism thing, and Timmy got to see it. Timmy was one of the captives, and he was kind of in one of these tents, and he got to see these big old eyes. And so I'm going to say Timmy's actually been strangely quiet the past few weeks, which is really bizarre. He's just been very quiet. He himself has been, not his overly intrusive self, but he comes along with you. He's very excited to see the city. Once or twice he probably gets away from you, and you have to kind of track him down. And every time you track him down, you kind of catch him in an alleyway somewhere, and he's got this sort of guilty look on his face, but it quickly kind of fades. And you see little elements of old Timmy again, like where the little wry smile. But more often than not, it's just this sort of unsettling quietness to him that's really begin to show over these next couple of weeks.
At that point, somewhere throughout, he's gonna, say something like, "You've seen some shit too. I know that. So there's a couple different ways you can handle that. You can go to New York City and get your head opened up, and I think they call that tree panning or something. I don't think that's what you want to do. You don't want to come
open my head up.
No, you don't want to become a part of the tree pan nation. So we need to find you a vice. I got my vice, and that's what I lean into when I start getting the itching under my skin to do some things I shouldn't be doing. Yeah. So we need to figure out your vice. Yeah. What's going to keep you from doing that?
Well, Franklin and I, we've been stealing sips of the Reverend's gin. I don't much care the taste of it, to be honest, but I mean, I could try with that. Does that
eventually you'll grow to like Christmas tree taste.
Okay.
But you got to be sure to pick something that makes those itchy crawly demons not crawl under your skin, holds them still. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And if that ain't it, then we got to find another vice.
Well, I'll keep thinking on it, Mr. Ellsworth, and I'll let you know once I come up with something. And I'll keep trying the gin, because maybe I'll like it better if there's time.
Just tell yourself Merry Christmas every time you do, and that may make it easier.
Okay, I will. Thank you, Mr. Ellsworth. You've been a wonderful tutor. I've learned so much from you. Thank you. So, we'll then kick it over either Anna or Jack. You're also spades. Either you have an idea?
So I'm thinking Trek for mine.
All right.
So I'm gonna kind of tie this with my advancement. So I'm thinking that most of the kind of riding that Anna has done has generally been in like relatively flat terrain. Kind of being in like South Texas and whatnot. So what I'd like to think is that Anna kind of went out, now that we're kind of getting into the mountains a bit, kind of different elevations and whatnot, that she kind of went out and kind of practiced like how you kind of shift your weight with the horse and whatnot when you're going kind of up the mountain, down the mountain, so that she could kind of come back to the group and make sure that kind of everybody knows kind of the tricks of, you know, make sure the saddle is well fitting and all those different things to do.
Yeah, and if you're doing these rides by yourself on old Devil Eyes, just you, like off in the countryside, I mean, you can really turn out like he's way faster than you've really had an opportunity to demonstrate, because most of the time you have to kind of kind of ease him back to meet the pace of everyone else's horses when you're traveling. And more than once, you have a couple of peculiar interactions where you kind of look behind, like after you've been running for a while, and you just feel him getting hotter and hotter and hotter, your hand kind of on his mane or on his neck, and to the point where you have to actually kind of remove your hand, almost like you're touching a stove. More than once, you kind of backtrack, follow your way back to camp. You kind of see these weird tracks in the ground, like these little kind of burn marks here and there, like where plants have just kind of gone to cinder here and there. But I mean, he's very faithful to you. Never, I mean, in the beginning it was a little rough, but you get the sense that he's gotten very used to you at this point, and he's starting to kind of maybe reveal to you some other aspects about his nature that he wasn't so keen on showing to begin with. All right, and then Jack, do you got something for your spade?
Yeah, Jack's gonna do downtime. So
Okay.
Jack, for his hindrances, is loyal and code of honor. And this whole situation of half the camp being kidnapped has weighed very, very heavy on him. And he blames himself for being brash and taking off and doing these little kind of silly things and taking him away from the people. So he's been really kind of like keeping close to everybody in camp. He's been pitching in more than usual, but he's been quieter than usual. He's kind of come down on himself. He feels that he's been too reckless, and he's trying to like kind of form bonds with people in the camp. And, you know, people from time to time, they bring up the running across cattle and parkouring and shooting people into two with his shotgun. And, you know, whenever that happens, he just kind of like breaks off and goes and does his own thing. He's been keeping close with Dr. Cuspid. It seems to be his only pleasure that he takes these days, is sitting there with his friend at the campfire and talking about other things, better days before all of this played out. But he does unload on the doctor from time to time on how he's feeling.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would say you're probably getting a lot of from the original crew of the actual Lazy S. I mean, you're getting a lot of conversation from Franklin, who, with little Timmy getting quieter and quieter, you're seeing Franklin kind of starting to find his voice a little bit more, and he's kind of following you around a little bit, but like not, you know, kind of hiding when he does so. And whenever you start doing some kind of chore, you see little Franklin start picking up that kind of chore. You get this kind of weird sense that he's almost sort of imitating you in some way. You hear folks like Grimy, for instance, and like Reverend Archer, both of whom have become fast friends, bonding over gin, kind of singing your praises as well whenever people are huddled around the chuck wagon, to the point where it gets kind of embarrassing at a point. You also notice that like a couple of the others you can see are a little more resistant to some of these stories. You see folks like Waylon Fontaine kind of keeps at a distance, doesn't really hang out with the crew. He seems to be a little... He's not responding as well to some of the events as others, but yeah, you're starting to get a little bit of a shadow similar to Ives, but not in a kind of creepy, invasive, I'm going to eat your friends vibe, but in a I'm kind of mimicking you, but in a quiet sense. Okay. So then we'll kick it over to, I think we'll do hearts next. So that'll be, I think that's you, Cuspid, if you're ready, Jeremy.
I think so.
Okay.
I think that got posted earlier. So downtime is hero practices skill, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, you know, one of my favorite things about that incident, outside of blowing so many people up, is the fact that Professor Brash just left post haste. And well, wouldn't you know, he had a lot of books there, along with some of these special alloys. And I'm not going to miss a chance to do some research to further my own inventions. And I have come up with a couple of new devices. I usually don't like to show off my work until I've completely finished, but I've probably let Jack see it in process if he was willing to try a couple of things out. And by the way, not that I know who started this whole praise Jack thing, but it has been nudged along a little bit while I do so. Yes, I took powers as my advance. So I've done one thing where I found that the conductivity of some of these alloys can help me almost reverse the polarity of the Bluetooth field, to where I have one device that will actually create an inverse of the Bluetooth field, which will pull in a mass of all these shards of teeth, pull them super tight into a little condensed ball until released into a wonderful blast that should tear things asunder. And then also I took some of those wolf fangs from those beasts that had rendered themselves into us, nearly killed Calloway. Well, this one's going to be a little bit of a harder sell, but I found a way that those teeth can embed themselves into the medulla oblongata of our friends, and it would be much like unlocking a shotgun. I'm going to allow people to see with their teeth instead of with their eyes, to better move around the battlefield and in breaking the fourth wall, so to speak. It will allow them to pick combat edges to augment themselves.
Oh my. Okay. Well, I mean, the explosions that you are as you do the inverted Bluetooth field, probably do those away from the herd. Maybe the first one or second one went off by the herd, nearly caused a stampede, and you hear like Luke Canton comes over, kind of chews you out a bit, and then finally maybe you and Jack kind of retreat. Maybe it's after some of those nights around the fire where Jack is feeling a little overwhelmed by the attention, and the two of you kind of go off in the distance, and all of a sudden we just hear almost like firecrackers going off. Little lights popping up every now and then. Maybe Franklin follows along from time to time, gets a peek at what's going on. One thing you notice, Cuspid, is over the couple of weeks here, the clattering seems to have gone down. Those teeth don't really seem to be going off much. Just doesn't really seem to. You haven't really had another one of those incidences recently. They're still there, and you can still see them, but I don't know. Maybe it's just times of stress. Maybe it's something else. You're not really sure, but overall, it feels like you haven't really had much of an issue with them.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that, because if you would allow me the luxury of a hat trick, I did have a third thing that I thought I might work upon while I'm doing this, because the conductivity of Professor Brass's alloys also tie in nicely. There was that calcium membrane I tried to create for Ives operations a long, long time ago, and I wanted to interact with the nervous system that he had, and I realized now this automaton that I'm trying to work with, it needs to have more complicated impulses. So I want to start working upon like almost an artificial nervous system, to use that kind of a membrane as the core of the nervous system, but use these alloys for the conductivity. But I need something more than that. And it kind of dawned upon me that maybe I could use that. And he's been experimenting with connecting it to the teeth to see if he can create like some sort of energy outlet, to see if he could form some sort of way to communicate with it.
Okay. All right. So you've been theorizing that there's sort of a ghost presence or something like that, something from the astral kind of tapped into this. And through your experiments, which I would say probably over the course of a couple weeks, we might like picture like this montage of failure after failure, and then getting closer and closer. And then at some point towards the end of these couple of weeks, probably very recently, as we've been lingering around Denver for a while, you finally have a modest breakthrough where you kind of send a surge or a piece of energy or something like that through the teeth to try or you try to ignite it in a way, almost like jumper cables or something like that. And you realize you're able to actually cause them to chatter. Like for the first time, you've actually had control over making them suddenly just start to chatter here and there, as if whatever it is you're doing is actually starting to have a bit of an effect on whatever kind of creature, whatever ghost, whatever presence or poltergeist might be attached to this thing. And maybe over the course of like a night or two, you start like sending signals through, getting some back, sending through, working on kind of this rudimentary, like kind of ghostly Morse code communication that starts to pop out from it over time. And like so far, it's really just, you know, it's communicating, you can tell it's communicating, but the communication is still fairly rudimentary at this point.
I'm so excited.
And then finally, we've got Ives. Ives, you got the club. What has Ives been doing these few weeks?
I'm going to go with the downtime option,
Okay.
where I'm angry or brooding over something and I lash out. Yeah, I let myself go. I did, and I embraced that terrible creature that dwells within me, and coming to terms with it. I think the worst part is I'm good with what I did. I don't regret it, not one bit. And I think it's causing issues in the camp because I am not kind and polite person I always am. More quick to react and speak what's on my mind. I ain't got time for the niceties of mortals and their fleeting lives, running around at night, killing and consuming whatever I can. I think that's what helps me overcome my fear of the dark. So yeah, if they had a reason to be afraid of me before, I've made sure I confirmed it since then.
Okay.
I am the beast I always feared.
I would also say that you have noticed too that Timmy has been distant from you. Like he doesn't seem to really be hanging out around you as much. Doesn't seem to be underfoot as much. You noticed him a lot with Eustace. Like he's hanging out with Eustace a bunch. He disappears into the city once or twice with Eustace. But yeah, he just doesn't seem to really be as interested, or at least as obviously interested. He's been acting strange though lately. You can tell he's been very quiet. He's been almost well behaved, which seems very much out of character. It's possible maybe it's just Eustace's influence somehow, but that seems suspicious
No.
at the same time.
I think it is that he finally saw what he wanted to be and realized it was nothing he wanted to be.
Okay.
I'll let him keep his distance. It's better for him anyway. I'll keep an eye on him though, just in case he's playing the fool on all of us.
Okay. All right. So, as like this little sort of montage of events and time passage ends, Bill Sutter approaches you one day. He comes back from town. You can see, he seems exasperated. He's been going into town, coming out of town, going into town. You know that he has been trying to sell his herd for some time. And he comes back one afternoon, kind of gathers everyone around, the usuals from the very beginning. And there's been some other people, some temporary workers kind of coming in, kind of helping here and there, like a day work here, a day worker there, something like that. But he kind of brings everyone around the chuck wagon, including yourselves. This is Deadlands for Savage World, in case you lied. So yeah, Bill brings everyone around. He's like, well, turns out we got here a little late. Between herds coming down from Wyoming territory and Texas herds that already hit the market in Dodge, the price of beef is, it's in the outhouse. Now, it's only a snake's belly above what the Bayou Vermilion varmints were offering, and this time, that's across the board. Now, after cogitating on it a piece and talking with Luke and Abby, I figure, well, that's both good and bad. It's bad in that I ain't heading back to Texas a rich man, at least not right away. But it's good in that there's another herd here that's in a bad spot that I was able to buy up for a little bit more than a song. On top of that, feller sold me a land grant in Bighorn Basin up in Wyoming that's a far sight larger than my spread on the Brazos. I'll tell you, folks, I'm just getting too old for dealing with them Bayou Vermilion hooligans, so I sold my spread in Texas by telegraph, and, well, I took that Wyoming cowboy up on it. Now, Wyoming gives us a better shot at supplying the maize with beef, and you know those folks are always hungry. So, I plan to take both herds north and start a new ranch. Now, any who want to ride, you all are welcome. Those who don't, I fully understand. Welcome to any pay that's owed you, and no hard feelings and no questions asked. Planning on following the overland trail north out of Denver. We're going to cut the western corner of Sioux Nations, and we're going to forge north through Wind River Canyon. And for those who've been here since the beginning, upping the pay, $45 a month to those who stay on. And he kind of looks towards, like, you all for a bit. And you can tell, like, as there's some questions that are kind of going around a bit here and there. And you can see, like, there's, like, Francesca and, like, Reverend Archer and, like, Grimy. They're all kind of starting to break out and sort of discuss. But he kind of nods and brings you all over off the other side of the wagon away from everybody. And he says, listen, and you'd see him take his, like, hat off, and he kind of runs his hand through his hair like he's about to be a little sheepish. But he's like, yeah, you folk have done right by me and Abby from the get-go. And to tell the truth, the deal here is put a dent in my wallet, and I'll have to hire more hands, too. So here's the thing. I'm willing to cut you all in for a 10th ownership of the original herd, divided amongst yourselves in lieu of that month of payment that I offered the rest. That's if you choose to stay on with us, of course. If you all want to go off in your own directions, I perfectly understand. And if you don't want the payment, then the $45 are, well, that's on the table. Well, I'll find a way to muster it up. Now, I will say, though, that this is a pretty fine deal I'm offering, because it comes to about 130 head of cattle per each of you, and in a good enough market, you can get $40 a head. Now, I ain't no mathematician, but that's a lot more than $45 a month. I ain't offering this to everybody. You all have, after what you all did down with that old Socrates Galt, I figure, and with that Tosera fella, figure it's the least I can do.
I'm in.
Thank you, Mr. Eyes. I appreciate that.
What do
I'll
you
look
say?
over to Eustace. You up for a long ride?
There you go, I go. Our wagons is hitched.
I'm up for if you are.
All right. Well, what about little Timmy?
Well, I ain't giving him a tenth of the herd, if that's what you're asking there, Eustace.
No, I'm sorry there, but I was asking Anna and the rest of these folk. I think we should find a place for Timmy to stay, or think we should take Timmy with us?
I think with what he's seen and what he's tried to do, he needs to stay close to us. I'd hate to offload him on some poor, unsuspecting Christian folk, and they wake up in the morning, if they wake up in the morning. And if he goes south, we're particularly capable of dealing with it. So you keep steering him right. Maybe we get up to Wyoming, we can find him something.
You all right with that?
good a plan as
That's
any. I
audio
think we
broke.
should
All right.
Oh,
take
no.
responsibility for what we started and keep an eye on that one.
Yep. I got one now on him. Only leaves me one eye left.
Thing you got too.
Yep.
Now, I spoke with the Reverend, and he has agreed to stay on for a bit and help with the boys' education. Now, Abby has it of a mind that she might go ahead and adopt them 2 young boys once we get up to Wyoming. I told her that is not a particularly good idea, but I don't know. She's got something in her heart for strays, I suppose, but the Reverend has been instructed to ease back on the gin a bit before those lessons. I don't know if that is an order he can particularly follow, but I'm sure he will try. So it ain't all going to be on you. You all have other duties to attend to, and sometimes that duty includes a lot of violence.
Well,
Yeah.
if she feels seriously about the matter, I would be glad to assist in their education as well.
I'd
Well,
definitely like to ease off of that gin, but what I'm faced with is what happens if we don't. And, if we keep choosing to use it, that is a terrible life. I should know that not using it could be even worse. It's a last resort. But I think we're there.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Mr. Ellsworth. I have absolutely no idea what you just said.
I'm not advocating for the young one to drink the gin. Isn't that what you was saying that the father said?
No, I
to
was
stop?
saying the Reverend has been doing too much drinking, and I said he should cut down when he's giving them their lessons.
Oh, I got a guilty conscience.
Boy's like 12 years old. He shouldn't be drinking gin. What you talking?
No, he
Give him a
shouldn't.
good 2 or 3 more years, and then he can go ahead and get started.
No. He
Uh,
shouldn't. I'm just afraid what it ain't none of your concern. I'll worry about it.
Is Francesca going to join the rest of us? She sure
No.
seems like she's had
That-
some reservations about
That
this.
is certainly up to her. I know that she and Abby have gotten close, riding Remuda, but and it's for everyone to decide on their own. I don't anticipate the next stretch to be at all as complicated as the one before, but I imagine just speaking that out into existence has probably just set the fates against us. So we shall see.
Thank you for the generous offer and consideration for both the benefit and the trouble that we've caused you being a part of this drive.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of column A and B, but I feel like in the ledger, you all have come out pretty far ahead, especially since you saved your skins. That's for sure. Ain't no denying that. Matt, has your sound actually cut out?
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Yes, we can.
you
Yeah.
hear us? Can you hear
I
us?
can hear you. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
all right.
Excellent.
Okay. So he leaves you all to mull on it, and then he you can see he sort of brings in like a whole mess load of new folks. You can see like one of the other things he's been doing is trying to hire new folks because like the herd's way bigger, okay, and you've already lost a bunch of people, and you can see there's folks that are leaving that are staying in Denver. You can see Walton decides, he says goodbye, shakes everyone's hands. His face when he kind of got beaten in by the sheriff or the marshal of Dogleg, never quite healed quite right, and he's been having headaches, and he just doesn't really feel like continuing on. A few other folks too, but most people stay on. Francesca, Luke, Abby, Javier, the cook, and everything. Everyone they all sort of stay on, but they start kind of introducing you. There's this kind of couple young guys kind of introduce themselves. Dakota Pitts kind of got Byron. I don't know if it's just because you were a dentist or what, but first thing you know is about this fella, he's got these big old sparkling white teeth. And he's knows how to use them because he's just smiling left and right, seems almost eager to please. And he's just there kind of stumbling around the camp. And then after that, you see this old fella. It's this just old kind of African-American fella here. He's got like big old white mutton chops kind of sticking out from his side, and looks like he's got some white chubby, that's not right. His white stubble. I don't know why I said chubby. But as he just introduced himself, as Gummy. He's like, "My name's Gummy Bluth. Pleasure to meet y'all. Looking forward to heading on up to Wyoming." And you can see that, like, as you guys are hanging around, he's got this jar that he carries with him, but it has like multi-purposes. He drinks out of it, he spits into it, he plays it as a musical instrument at the same time. Not necessarily in that order. This older lady,
Yes, in that order.
could be different orders. This other lady who's got these tattoos kind of moving up on her neck that she tries to hide with her hair. You can see she's another old gal. She doesn't seem to talk too much. Couple other folks. You got, two people kind of come up around the same time. One of them, woman, introduces herself as Leodora Holler, and she carries this big old stained Bowie knife that she uses for just about everything, whether it's cutting rope or peeling apples, whatever it might be. There's a fellow who just goes by Smokes. That's all he calls himself. Rail thin. He's got a yellow face from doing a lot of smoking. Seems to be wearing pantses that are just like a few sizes too large. He's constantly pulling his pants up. And anytime anyone asks him what's the rest of his name, he's like, "What's your last name?" "Plenty." And then there's the other one of the other young guys is someone who people just start calling him Blue. He introduces himself. His name is Jay Goodman, tall and wiry and very, very attractive, actually. Probably the nicest looking fella here. Always seems to be squinting, though. He's got this thing where he just sort of squints. The wind just kind of kicks back into his hair, even when the wind's not blowing. And so the next few days are spent light travel. As you sort of pick up the herd, folks get the stake going. But it's also about introducing these folks as to what they're supposed to do. So we're going to do a little quick encounter here where you guys are no longer low on the, you're not the lowest rung of the ladder here anymore. You guys are veterans now, and it's your job to kind of show some of these people the ropes. So do a quick encounter where I want everyone to sort of pick somebody, lend aid, give them some kind of instruction, roll a die, and we'll see how it goes. So, a couple young folks, Dakota Pitts, Jay Goodman, a couple old folks, Gummy Booth, and then the woman with the tattoos who calls herself Eula, and then a couple middle-aged folks, Leodora and Smokes. What do y'all feel like doing?
I'll take Gummy Booth.
Okay. Well, hello there. Now you wouldn't be old. Your name wouldn't be Jack, would it?
Good day there, old timer. Yes. How do you know that?
I recognize that accent anywhere. You Canadian, ain't that right?
That is correct, eh?
I've been hearing stories about you. Yeah. Some around from these folks in here. Word. Come down to Denver about the was that phrase they say, the Scarlet Crusader or something? What do they call you? What do you call you? You got a name? What's the name? What do they call you, son?
The name is Jack. They're all tall tales, sir. And
Scarlet Justice. No, it ain't just Jack. It's Scarlet Justice.
I've never heard that before, sir.
Well, that's what they calling you. They say there's this Canadian rustler. He's been moving about the plains and coming up from Texas doing right where once was wrong. Making everything better, Taking all them bad folks out there and bringing them to justice. That's what he's doing. And they say he looks just like you. And he kind of like boops your big old Mountie hat at that point.
Well, trouble seems to follow me, sir. You might want to stay away, just for your own good. But can I give you a hand with what you're working on there?
What are you trying to say? Because I'm old and I ain't got no teeth that I don't know what I'm doing?
No, sir. No, sir. I would give the same obligation to anybody here, young or old.
It's very kind of you. It's very kind of you. I would be much obliged. It's been quite some time since I've had to do this kind of work. Yeah, been much. And you can tell he's got like 3 teeth. He's just popping up. Every time and then he takes a little drink, a swig, and he kind of like, yeah, it's been a while. Definitely would. One sec. And he spits back in, like, yeah, I would love to see whatever you got. To be trained by old Scarlet Justice. Well, I'm an old fella. Death is just around the corner, but yeah. When I look back, a genuine superhero trained me how to.
No, sir. No, sir. You have the wrong person.
Oh, well, all right. You be bashful. That's it. I'll keep it on the down low, as the kids say. So what do you want to try to trade him in?
Because I do a lot of tracking and stuff.
Okay.
I'm gonna maybe kind of show him the ways of tracking and scouting and all that. I'm gonna use survival because I seem to use that skill a lot.
Okay. Wandering around, maybe you're tracking down some of the stragglers here and there, because they still kind of move out, and you hear Luke shouting from around, go fetch them, here and there, go fetch them. So you take old Gummy out on a little ride, looking for the proper track, seeing if you can track down some of the strays. So go ahead and roll, if you haven't done so already.
I rolled, I got a 9.
Okay, 9 with a raise. Okay. Yeah, you all spend probably a good couple hours just tracking around, and he picks up on it very quickly. And I would say at a certain point you start to get the sense that he might just be playing dumb a little bit. Like he might be a little bit better at this. But more than once he's like, yeah, you Scarlet Justice, all right, man. Ain't no vigilante's gonna get away from you, man. You can track him down, something fierce. That's what it sounds like. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, sir. Just food for dinner and any stray cattle that seem to wander away.
Well, might start there, on Tuesday, but come Thursday, maybe Friday, get ourselves some bandits, take them on down, bring them to justice, Scarlet-like.
Why don't we go get some food there, old timer?
Yeah, we can do that, but we're gonna have to kind of mash some of this meat down. I can't quite chew that much. We'll give it a go. Hey, you want a drink? He kind of holds the jug up to you, offering you a swig.
No, I'm okay. Thank you, sir.
You sure? It's got a nutty flavor.
Nope.
Yeah,
I've always got... Nope. I've got to be on watch at all times.
Oh, see. Vigilant. I like it. Superheroes always vigilant. That's right. Okay. Well, thank you, sir. Okay. Who is next? I see an Adaman. Who you got, Eustace?
All right, I'll go after the one with the ink. Name's Eula.
Eula. That is her name, yeah.
Ma'am. Name's
Hello?
Eustace.
And she's old. You can tell she's fairly burly. Got like greasy hair, and you can tell she's got these like distrustful eyes. She's very like shifty with him. She's constantly moving, checking around. You kind of come right up at her, say, "Hello, how you doing, boy?"
All right. I see you got yourself some ink there. How'd you earn that?
And you can see the minute you mention it, she like just brings her hair forward, just so it kind of covers the neck up. Boy, I just met you.
All right.
I don't think you ask a lady a personal question like that and expect an answer.
Oh, where I'm from, you get that put on you. It's for everyone else to see.
Mm-hmm.
I figured it was something I could strike up a conversation to have it your way.
Well, sometimes you don't have a choice about what people put on you. You ever think that there, boy? You ever think of that at all?
Yeah, that's what this one is. As I pull up my shirt and I reveal a brand. I'm mixed with brands and tattoos all over.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Where'd you get that? What happened to you?
Oh, that one was just some sort of disagreement between me and 5 other fellas, and last one had the better of me. So
I hear you.
yeah. I could take 4 or 5's pushing it.
Boy, you a bit of a braggart now, ain't you? You trying to impress an old lady? Is that what you trying to do right now?
I looked
Romancing
down,
romance is in history for me, man. It ain't current events.
Hey, we got something in common. See, I knew I'd
Okay.
like you.
Okay,
So,
boy.
so I look down the line, and the way I figured with some of the business that we got to do, you was the best pickings.
I was the best pickings.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just fruit on the stand. That what you trying to say? Just fruit on the stand. Go by and like, oh, let me just pick up this here little piece of melon. Oh, this one just happens to be the proper firmness. Is that what you trying to say?
By pickings, I meant if I was picking a fight with someone, I'd want you out of anyone else on my side.
I told you, romancing ain't in the current. You best be careful with that kind of tongue.
I don't think we're speaking the same language no more. I
I
said,
don't think we are.
out of the entire line, I figure if it came to a fight, you was the best one to have on my side.
Oh, I see. Okay. Flattery now. All right. Boy, what you want me to do?
Well, sometimes there needs to be guns firing, and other times there just needs to be a few fists flying. So I figured you was the best.
Well, I have been known on occasion to get into a scuffle or two.
Yeah, you see, and the biggest secret about getting in a fist fight is not how much you can do with your own fist. It's how much you can take everyone else's fists. And if you can take a needle for that long, I was figuring you could take some fists.
Yeah, that's an interesting theory.
Damn it, Jeremy.
I prefer not to get hit by them fists, if I can. Elusiveness is my preference.
And sometimes if you lean into them, you hurt their fist more than you hurt your head. But I mean, to each their own.
Well, I think something hurt your head, that's for sure.
Hmm.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, boy. We fighting? Is that what you saying? You want me to show you a thing or two? You want a knuckle sandwich? You hungry? You ain't eat yet? Chuck wagon's over there, but I can give you something right now if that's what you prefer.
All right, let's have it. You know, I'll put my jaw out.
Okay. All right. So I'll throw a punch at you. Sure, why not? That's a 7. Yeah, 7's the best I got. How's that do? Against your parry.
Yeah, I think it does.
She hits you?
Yeah.
So she just you just see her and then super fast, like quickness you wouldn't probably expect for a woman of her burliness, just right into the chin. Your head just kind of flies back. Everything goes white for a moment. Comes back down. You realize you got some blood in your mouth from where the bottom part of the jaw. The teeth came up and kind of nicked your tongue a bit. You're fine. It ain't gonna hurt you or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
She got you good. Nice and quick and easy.
All right. Now that's just enough to knock all them loose ends right into place.
All right, now you go ahead. Now come on. Let's see.
All
You
right.
can take. Now you can give. Come on now.
Where you want it?
It's that's pretty impressive. You think you can get me and all, but I got you in the chin. Right back at me now. Come on, boy.
Oh,
Let's go.
All right. Let's do this.
Careful, I'm just an old lady.
Yeah, right. You and I both know you're fibbing.
Well, maybe a little bit. I'm old though, and I damn sure am a lady. Come on, son.
Right. So I'm going to respect her too much to pull back.
Okay. That's probably a good choice.
Oh, that sucked.
What'd you roll? But they can't see the dice roll anymore, so you got to call it out. So make sure you call it
fighting, I rolled a 2.
You want to Benny that?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, Eustace. Old lady, getting you.
Seriously?
She is
Yep.
just too fast for you. You go to swing out, and her head, just the slightest little, just like that, and you just feel your fist just getting there. You come back again for a second one. She does the same thing, takes a quick step, and then she looks at you with a big old grin on her face, and she just says, "Don't worry, boy. There have been folks a lot bigger and stronger than you try to hit me, couldn't do it. I'll show you a thing or two. Yeah, you thought you taking me under your wing. Man, you got that backwards. I got some big old wingspan. Plenty of shadow for you. Come on, boy. I'll show you how it's done."
All right, let's do this.
We cut into like this like wrestling sequence between you and Eula, and we'll kind of shift over to someone else now. All right, who else is trying to test the mettle of the newbies?
I can take one of them. There was
All right.
How many younger ones?
There were two young dudes.
All right. The one without the fancy teeth.
Okay, yeah. So this is this guy's fairly he's attractive, but like doesn't have the fancy teeth. But he's just kind of attractive, and he's always squinting all the time. It's kind of what he said. And he calls himself, my name's Blue. Well, my name's Jay, but folks call me Blue.
All right, Blue. I'm going to teach you to shoot today. We're going to get into trouble, and I need to make sure that you can handle yourself.
We're gonna go get into trouble now?
No, I'm going to make sure you can shoot before trouble comes.
Oh, I can shoot. Come on now, sir. I can shoot.
Well, let's make sure of it.
Yeah.
All right. I'll take them out.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what are we practicing on?
I'm going to dig some old cans out of the chuck wagon.
Okay. All right.
Take them out a ways, find a post to set them up on, take them back 20 yards or so.
Mm-hmm.
Give one of my 6-shooters. Take that can out.
Okay, I got this. I can do that. I got my own gun if you want. I mean, it ain't as pretty as yours, but
Well, all right. Let's see what you got. You need to learn how to shoot your own.
oh boy, that's 3. So you see, and you see the bullet kind of go off like the stone or something like that. Whatever you stack the cans on. But the can is there, perfect, pristine. He's like, something must be wrong with it. Probably had to clean it out some or something. I'm not really sure.
Okay. You ain't supposed to look down the barrel of your own gun. I'll just tell you that right there.
How do I know if it's dirty?
You got to unload that thing first. Take the cylinder out.
Okay.
Let me see that thing, and I'll tell you if it's any good or not. So
Okay,
I'll take it.
Hands it over to you.
I'll take
it's
my shot.
okay. Decent weight, you know. It's definitely older. It's not as nice as yours, but it'll get the job done.
Yeah. All right. My best is a 5.
That's still good enough. All you needed was a 4. And so it's not super impressive, but you don't do this suddenly and like take a whole row of them out, but you just plop it there, kind of look at him. He's like, you see him, he's paying attention. Point the gun, fire, and at the distance, can just goes flying off the rock. That's mighty impressive, sir. That's mighty impressive. Mighty impressive. Yeah.
So this thing does need some work. We'll take it to Dr. Cuspid later, see if he can clean it up any for us.
Oh, yeah, I was hoping to talk to him. I mean, he's the one that does all those fancy gadgets and gizmos and things.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And then also, I'll teach you a little bit more about your technique. You got your weight all wrong. You're squeezing. You're pulling rather than squeezing.
Pulling. So I
Yeah,
pull.
I get you.
don't- Okay.
You squeeze it, you don't pull it.
I'll be honest with you. I've only fired this a few times. Most of the time, I'm taking the bullets out of folks, not putting them in. You know.
But now you're going to do the opposite. This is what we call reverse healing. And I'll make sure you're good at it.
Reverse healing. Okay. All right. Sure.
All
But
right.
could you put a good word in for me with the doctor? I hear he's
Yeah.
got some techniques that are, mind blowing and such. I would.
A good doctor is always looking for people to try out some of his his experiments with. So, if you're willing and able, he will have plenty of work for you to do.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Better, worse.
And so as you and Blue start heading back, camera kind of shifts and we see like there was somebody else out there, and there's like little Timmy. He was watching the whole time, you teaching this young fella how to shoot, and then we kind of cut away from little Timmy. Who's next? Who's next on the quick encounter? I think there's just Jeremy and Melissa left.
So Anna will kind of ride by a group of them and, kind of just be like, all right, which of you is interested in some riding skills?
Riding skills? Boy with the big old teeth. Ma'am, I believe I can do that. I'm quite good at riding the horses and the ponies. I have done this before. I'm quite skilled. I have been told I have exceptional balance.
That's so.
Exceptional. Now, he's a pretty beefy dude, like pretty big guy. He's got those big old teeth, but he seems like super eager. He's kind of coming up to you. He's like, ma'am, whatever you need me to do, I'll be happy and glad to do it. Yep. You think I can ride yours?
No.
Well,
but we'll find you a suitable one.
maybe someday, though.
I mean,
Sure as a
never say never, I
exquisite animal.
suppose.
You know, I heard you can tell the quality of a horse, much like a person, by the quality of their teeth.
Where'd you say you're from again?
Me? Oh, I'm
Yeah.
from Denver. My home's right. We just passed it. This is my first time heading out onto the wild frontier.
Well, I think you might find yourself with the little stains on those teeth there, and I don't think these horses that have been on the road since Texas are going to be particularly defined by their dental hygiene. I think those are the words that Dr. Cuspid, dental. I think that's the word for the teeth stuff.
It's dentistry, but there's also a new form of what's called orthodontry, which is supposed to help not just with the health of the tooth, but with its straightness and relative spacing to the other teeth. My pappy is a dentist right there in Denver.
Well, that
Yes,
is
yes.
certainly no offense to the career that your family has taken up. But what I will say is with horses, you're going to look a bit more toward the quality of their shoes and their feet and how they
Well,
are doing. That
You
is
can
going
replace
to be
shoes. You can't replace teeth. Well, I guess you could replace teeth too, can't you? I stand corrected.
Have you ever lassoed before?
Lassoed, like with a rope.
Yeah, that. And Anna's kind of doing some tricks with her lariat.
Okay, go ahead and roll a. Yeah, what was a lasso? Is it a riding test? I can't remember. I think it might be a riding test. You could do it from horseback. You just roll riding.
So I was looking that up while other people were going. Lariat is fighting, which
Well, that's
was
that's if you're using it
interesting
to attack.
to me.
Hang on. There's actually something.
I would
we
much
can-
prefer riding because that's a D8 for me.
Hang on. There's like a whole roping and riding thing that I haven't looked at in a while. Athletics to lasso.
Okay. Well, all right.
Hmm.
Hey, look at that. That's gonna explode. And
We can't
that's
see
gonna
it, so you can.
explode.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, sure it
It's
is,
going to
Melissa.
be a-
Uh huh.
That's
Uh-huh.
a 14.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, yeah. You
Mhm.
you make it extraordinarily impressive. And he looks on you with great eagerness and awe, and he tries to do it multiple times. First several, he lassos himself accidentally. The next several after that, he lassos something, but the rope falls apart. And you're probably there for about an hour or two before he really kind of catches on. But by the end of it, you're fairly confident that he kind of knows what he's doing, because you do a very exceptional job. But he goes on and on and on about the quality of his teeth and his family business and all that kind of such. And then with that, we'll transition over. The last one is Dr. Byron Cuspid.
Well, I was going to talk to the man with the exceptional teeth, of course, but barring that, I would say my curiosity runs towards Smokes.
Okay. All right.
Hey, how you doing?
Well, I'm just having a delightful day. How about yourself, sir?
Can't complain.
That's good to hear. I have to wonder, you seem like the sort of man that perhaps then indulges in a vice that keeps his nerves heightened. Is that not unfair to say?
That is not unfair to say. That is correct.
You look like a man who, as some of my friends would say, has seen some shit.
I've seen some shit. That is correct. Yeah.
Wonderful.
and
We're going to see
other
more of it on
things.
this trail.
Well, that's why I joined up. You know, city life wasn't agreeing with me, and kind of wanted to get back out on the road. You know, see what it's like out there.
There's lots of crazy, terrible things, but fascinating at the same time.
That sounds extraordinarily up my alley, good doctor.
What I basically want to do is kind of invite him. Like, it starts off kind of like initially, like, you know, what's the craziest thing you've run across on the trail?
Mm-hmm.
But largely, I want to invite the man to start trading stories back and forth about what oddities he may have run across. And I know it's not my strongest role, but I think it'd be fun to trade occult stories to see what nonsense we both have seen. Because he looks like the sort of man who's seen something, and that's why he's so obsessively smoking.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, give it a roll.
All right, then. Go with. Oh, okay. My D4. Nope. Go. So that'd be 4, 3, 7.
Well, I'm not surprised you've had such experiences. I have had more than one run-in with a... You familiar with the Wichita witches?
Yes, actually, but we were lucky not to have to actually encounter them recently.
You were lucky. They are not they are not the type for letting folks go unaccosted. Once they get their hooks in you, they can do things with fire. So much fire. I'm from a small town out in Kansas. Well, it's a lot smaller now once they were done with it. Blazed for days. You can see it from miles away.
Good Lord.
Just me and my brother made it out. But I'm the only one who survived. If you get my drift.
I very much do. I'm incredibly sorry.
Since then, I've been doing some studying, you see.
And you see, like, he, like, draws a really long drag on the cigarillo. You see, like, the end of it get all, like, red and kind of crusty. And then he holds it upright and just goes, whew, and you see it just, like, burst into, like, all these different bits of ash all lit up. And then he sticks out his hand.
Now watch this trick.
And you see him just put his hand underneath it. And instead of the ash, that like lit ash kind of floating away, it just starts to swirl and swirl where his hand is.
Now I can do probably what you can do, and I certainly cannot do what them Wichita witches do. And I might look like I've seen some shit. But I'm still learning. One day, this little parlor trick, I hope to turn into a downright fireball and blow that fucking Wichita sky high.
He kind of looks at him like utterly seriousness.
Dr. Cuspid gets this giant ear-to-ear grin. So we are speaking the same language. I don't think you even understand the extent of which I agree with you.
Fantastic. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
A pleasure as well, Smokes.
And he pulls out another cigarillo, lights it up,
And he kind of hands it over to you. Smoke.
I abstained from it, but I appreciate the offer very much.
And he kind of like twirls it back in his fingers, right back into his mouth.
I understand. These things will kill you.
He
That's
gives you
fine.
like
There's
this
a great
wry smile when he says it.
But I do have a mouthwash if you would like.
No, I'm good. I like a little grittiness on the voice.
Very well.
So, as you guys kind of like, this is all kind of happening over the course of a couple days. Like, there's a lot of like downtime at the start and at the end, so we're kind of weaving a bunch of things together. But after a few days traveling, north again, you're sort of north. You guys are doing this. You're approaching this like South Platte River, where you have to do like the very modest ford, nothing to be really too concerned with. We'll say, Jack. At some point, you and Gummy are out, maybe doing a ride. Kind of, you send him back. He was bringing back some of the stragglers, but you're out there and you kind of see this longhorn kind of scattered about these others, and you see it just sort of like kind of list off to the right, and kind of list off to the left here and there, kind of staggers, suddenly stops, and just collapses and falls right over. Now, on the whole, that happens from time to time, but you've been in pretty nice country. Fresh grazing, fresh water, not an issue. Leisurely pace as you've been pulling out of Denver. This isn't like the hard run through like New Mexico and northern Texas. Like, they shouldn't be weakening like this. And you see it just fall right over. Everyone else is sort of in shouting enough distance here and there, but Jack, you're the one who sees it first.
Okay, I'm gonna break off and ride over there.
Okay. So you head over, and you can see that the looks like the Longhorns, it's on its side. Looks like it's moving still. Like, you can see some sort of like lift, like the chest kind of going up and down here and there, but it doesn't seem to be moving at all.
I would like to hop off my horse and investigate it further.
Yeah, anything you want to heal, notice, something like that?
Notice.
All right, yeah, go for it. And yeah, call it out, by the way. So I don't
five.
see them all the time. So you can see that there's actually something sort of strange. Like, it is moving. You can see the abdomen is sort of like spastically moving in and out. But as you're watching, it doesn't look like it's actually struggling for breath. Like, you can, when you get down, you kind of give it a good look. It's dead. Like, its eyes are rolled back in their sockets. Their lips are kind of pulled back from the teeth. You can see the tongue is kind of protruding, sticking out, and telltale signs of death. You don't see any movement in the nostrils, those big flaring cow nostrils, and you don't see like movement in the chest either. It's really just the abdomen area that seems to be showing. So whatever's moving, it isn't the steer that's moving.
I'm gonna call up to Dr. Cuspid. Cuspid, I need you. Dr. Cuspid.
Okay.
What can I do for you, Jack?
I'm gonna call him over, show him the cow.
Mm-hmm.
Something's not right here. Can you take a look at it?
Of course.
You can roll a notice, or you can roll a healing, whatever.
I'm gonna draw my shotgun in the meantime and just kind of wearily over his shoulder aim it at this cow. We've seen a lot of shit recently.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. I'm going to go with the healing option on that. That's much more what I'm interested in.
Absolutely.
I'll take the 6.
Okay. So as you get down, Jack, you got your shotgun out. You're looking around. Cuspid, you're kind of doing a kind of a closer, more medical examination now. You notice that there are a few small lacerations on the cow's lips. You can tell, though, that they've begun to heal, and they're probably a week old. When you put your hand on like the abdomen a little bit, you do feel something sort of moving around inside, but you don't get any kind of pulse or anything like that. But the only real signs of any trauma are those like kind of lacerations and those big old sort of meaty lips of the cow itself.
Hmm.
While you're looking at it, though,
Hmm.
Jack, you've kind of got your shotgun out. You're keeping your eyes peeled. You start noticing around you a lot of these other stragglers, and there's like these little packs of groups that are sort of spread out a little bit from the herd. You see a couple more just to that same sort of listing, then fall over. Ives, Eustace, Anna, you guys are scattered about here. They're sort of riding in the relative same area. You see it too. One, boom, the other. And like probably about a dozen or more of them, all said and done, just start keeling over.
Anna will ride over to the nearest horse to her, or the nearest cow to her that falls over and kind of wants to take a look.
Okay. You don't need to roll necessarily. You kind of the same deal. Like you see it's moving, but it's dead at the same time. It doesn't look like it's breathing, but you're seeing movement in sort of the abdomen belly area, not so much the chest area. You don't see the nostrils flaring. If you're communicating with your shouting, because you're probably in shouting distance of each other, you kind of check and you can see the same sort of lacerations on the lips on this one as well.
Well, only one thing to do here. I'll get my knife out.
I agree.
I'm gonna tauntaun that thing. Just split her open.
Okay. So Ives, you kneel down, you get the knife out, and right as you pierce the abdomen itself, the belly explodes, and just this violent viscera erupts into your face, just coats Ives, and kind of blows you back. Even you kind of stumble back, and then those of you that are kind of scattered about here and there looking at others, you start seeing that happening elsewhere too. Like the very first one, Jack, you see the belly explodes, and it's this cascade effect where one over here explodes, the next one over here explodes, and there's just bursting from them. Once you kind of wipe your eyes down, eyes, and you kind of look, and whoever's standing there, eyes, there are these engorged and gore-covered ticks that are just ripping themselves out of the bellies of these cows, that some of which aren't even completely dead. You can hear them like screaming, like, yeah. All of you roll fear at -2. So spirit test at -2. This is for nausea. And let me know. Let me know if anyone fails.
So when rolling regular dice, you roll a d6 plus what your spirit is.
You roll d6 and then whatever your spirit die is, but you don't add them together. You just take
Right,
the higher result. Yeah.
I am going to Benny
Okay.
that because I
Ooh,
did
explosion.
Why do I have a -1? That's weird. Where would a
you
-1
might
make
be-
your shoot?
Wounded or
Does she have
something,
night
maybe?
terrors?
Oh, night terrors, yeah.
I do have any terrors.
Yeah. So rolling these Norse Foundry dice, I got an explosion.
Okay. Very
Yeah,
nice.
because these Norse Foundry dice are doing so much better for me
Yeah.
than Foundry.
Yeah.
I got a 9 -2 is 7.
Okay, that's a pass.
You know,
Anyone fail?
That's so funny, Adam. Mine also exploded, and I got a 17.
I'm gonna
Your
Benny,
Norse Foundry dice?
Yes, it did.
You guys are ridiculous.
because
That
if
is
I
our-
don't
that's our
Benny, I
friend.
got a 0.
Oh wow, that's not a pass, Chuck.
Yeah,
So what did you get
Alright.
after you bennied?
1.
Okay. So all right.
I was lucky. I have
You-
guts. I got to roll a second time for free.
Ives, you are shaken. You gain a point of fatigue as and it's not you didn't crit fail, right? It's just a straight one.
No,
Okay.
just a
All right,
1.
so just shaken and fatigue as you now have the innards of a cow coating you completely. Your face is completely covered. Your clothes, you have like intestines and pieces of stomach and skin kind of dripping down from your hair. And you've got these massive engorged ticks. I had to be careful with that phrasing. That are crawling over top of you now as you stumble and get blown backward, and you're just coated in this stuff. And and whoever's nearby is seeing this as well. Did anybody else fail? All right, I think Jack, you're good. Cuspid, Anna, okay. The rest of you are fine. But now, as you look around, where all these cows have fallen down, you just see like moving about in the earth, and they're ticks. These ticks, by the way, they're not like the tiny little. They're bigger than that, right? So they're very small. I think of them like maybe like hamster gerbil size, maybe a little bigger in some cases, as they're just sort of starting to move about, and like they're moving very slowly. You can tell that they have feasted recently. What do you all want to do?
Uh,
Ugh. I feel like even if you pass that test, you still didn't really pass.
How many of these cows could I hit with a large blast template?
I would say, I mean, large blast, what is that? 4x4? Is that a large blast?
Oh, I think I can click a thing to say.
Yeah, I would say you could probably get a big chunk of them. Absolutely. Yeah. If
Okay.
not all of them, you would probably have to be careful because then you might accidentally get some of your compatriots in a blast, but you would get at least half, if not more of them in a blast area. Blast template. Yeah.
Well, then, yes, I'll pull out what looks to be somewhat of a disc-like apparatus, got kind of a gyroscope-looking thing in the middle, pour some shards of teeth into it, get it to start spinning as it pulls them tightly in the inverse Bluetooth thing, and then I just kind of aim it in the general direction where I want it to go, and it just kind of flies up and over. And once it gets away from the disc, it starts to lose that charge, and then teeth and shrapnel go flying everywhere.
How loud is this? Like, how big and violent of an explosion and loud is this?
I think when it first starts, it's actually very quiet because because normally the Bluetooth thing is kind of like a resonant humming effect. So first it gets squeezed down tight and there's almost nothing. But then when it does burst, it's very loud. It's cacophonous even.
So, Anna, you're probably the most seasoned of cattle folk. You look over, you see Cuspid's doing some sort of weird contraption thing. There's all these other cows around there, aren't kind of scattered here and there. And you hear this massive explosion. Like, at first it's nothing, but at the end it's like this, and all of them, between the violence of their fellow cows and now this massive explosion, you can see all of them just erupt in terror, and they begin to start scattering. Some of them are grouping. They're running over top of the corpses of the other cattle. You can see a few of the new ranch hands are kind of struggling. You can see your friend with the big teeth is like gets knocked off his horse, even though like trying to lasso them, and just gets pulled off the horse and is now getting dragged across the ground by this massive steer that he barely got the lasso on. Everyone roll evade. If you think you didn't get off your horse, you can roll riding instead, but otherwise roll evade, as you just start seeing all these cattle kind of moving off in different directions now.
What is evade under?
Oh,
Is it
sorry.
agility check?
Yeah, it's agility if
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
5.
Okay, it's a pass. So like, Jack, you're there, you got your shotgun out, you're ready to go. You see this big old kind of black and white, big old horns kind of barreling down on you, and I mean, maybe there's a second where you almost think about shooting it, but you manage to very deftly like leap to the side, and you watch as it just mows down the one that you originally found, just like steps right into. You see an explosion of burst of gore, and then it kind of continues going, tracking some of that gore. One of the intestines getting like wrapped around on the hoof of and like kind of dragging along with it as it goes. How'd everybody else do?
Pass.
yeah.
What skill were we rolling again?
Agility.
I did riding because I would have stayed on my horse.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, I gotta roll this, and I get a -1 from being
I'll Benny that.
fatigued.
Got bennies to spend.
Yeah, I'm
Ooh,
gonna
there we go. That's so much better. Did I say 3? I meant 9.
Oh gosh. Exploded.
Okay,
Okay.
I got a 6.
You got a 6. Okay, so everyone's okay. So all
Nope.
of you managed whether no, Eustace, you got
I got a
knocked
3.
off? You got 3? All right. So while everyone's kind of dodging out of the way of these things, or doing your best to try to like ease some of the cows, Eustace, unfortunately, were you on your horse, or were you on foot?
I was on foot. See, what I was trying to do was get in my toolkit and get my striker out and light a little fire to put on the butt end of one of these large ticks to make it back out of the cow. But No, I was too busy doing that
I just exploded twice. You take
with your
Oh,
Norse
no.
Foundry dice.
yes. Let's not overdo it. Let's not make a joke out of
Okay.
it. They are our friends.
Yeah.
That's 21 points of damage.
Oh gosh.
That's
As
fun.
a massive steer comes trampling over, like you turn, you see it, chaos happens, explosion, you turn, you look, what the hell just happened? Viscera on the ground, eyes is flailing around trying to get this, like, these intestines off his face, and you just get sideswiped by this massive brown steer. You feel like one of its horns kind of like dig into your side, and you just go flopping down to the ground. You get caught up in it and just stomps on top of you. You can soak though. Like, you're welcome to roll soak.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to do that because I think my toughness is still showing the Bluetooth protection on it. I can't edit my sheet for some reason. So
It's an item. Go into the gear and there should be an item.
oh yeah. No, it's still there. Okay.
Oh wow. I don't think you're. Why do you have 17 toughness?
Yeah, I think because it's still,
Yeah.
it's just being wonky. Like, even if it's
Yeah. It's
not equipped,
all right, there
it's
you go.
there.
Is
Yeah,
11
it's
about right? Is that what you're
11.
toughness?
Yes.
Okay, there you
It's
go.
only 11.
All right, go ahead. And roll.
So to soak, what do you need to do?
It's vigor.
There's spend a Benny to soak, or
Yeah, you spend a Benny to soak, and then you'd roll a vigor test.
Oops, went the wrong way.
That's the other thing we've noticed by rolling physical dice. It's just like, oh, I don't think we know the rules as much as we thought we
don't.
did.
No. Uh-uh.
Yeah.
There's an explosion, and 9.
9. Okay, so that would have. So your toughness
20.
would have been. Well, okay. 1. So you managed to soak 2. So it would have been 1, 2. Would have been 3 wounds. So 11. 15.
Does it add to
would
your
have been
toughness
3.
value?
I think you're fine because I think you soaked 2, and so that would have brought you. It would have been you would have been shaken with 2 wounds, but you soaked 2, so you would have soaked the 2 wounds, which would have left you okay.
Okay.
So this thing storms over top of you. You feel it kind of cut your side. You can feel it kind of slam down onto the back of your back as your face down in, but then that kind of continues rolling on. You stand
Damn
up,
it.
you're covered in mud and grass, like spitting it out of your mouth here and there. But you look around and it could have gone so much worse. Like, you could have, like, your spine could have been broken there. You could have died. But you've managed to get up with just a few small scrapes here and there as you stand up.
Damn it! I was trying to save one of your kin.
Can Anna see that and go try to grab Eustace and put him up on horseback?
Yeah, that's fine. You go over, ride on over, and then you, reach down, bring him up on Devil Eyes. It sounds cool. So, Ives, you're covered you're coated in his gore. Cuspid,
Yeah.
you just dropped this one explosion. Half the ticks have been dealt with. A few more are going, but now there's like this stampede that's broken out. All these newbies, these new to the Lazy S, are kind of struggling here and there. What does everybody do to try to help this out?
Well, first thing I got to do is unshake myself. That's just a Benny, right? And then you're unshooken. Deshooked.
I mean, you can. I would
Yes.
say. I mean, we're not in like proper order. If you want to take a spirit test, I'll give you that. You can try one spirit test to break it. We're not in like specific initiative, but if you want to try a spirit first, and then if you fail, you can spend the Benny and just get it.
That's a 4. All right.
Okay, that's cool.
And we're trying to get out of the stampede thing.
Yeah. So
Careful.
either you're taking care of the prairie ticks that are kind of engorged in the area still,
Oh,
half of which have already
screw
been taken
them.
care of. You're taking care of the stampede, or you're helping out some of the newbies right now who are kind of getting caught up in all this problem.
No, I got to shoot.
Okay.
That's the law.
Okay. Roll. Go ahead and roll a shot. Absolutely.
It's going to be these 2. Oh, I got an 8. That's on a D8.
Oh my.
9.
Okay. So we just watch as like Ives, you sit up, coated in gore, wipe your eyes across, bring out both guns, and you just start firing, and just like these small little tiny explosions pop up, and what used to be this beautiful kind of green pasture is now just getting coated and coated and coated in the blood of these exploding, like, blood engorged ticks that are kind of covering all over. You can see a lot of the stampeding cows are just dragging the carcasses of some of their smaller, unfortunate ones with them as they stampede all over. Who would like to also do something else? So we're basically quick encounter. So that's one for eyes.
I'll try to help the new people.
Okay, so you can see that your pal Gummy, big old mutton chops man, you can see he is trying as best he can to sort of get some of these things in gear. You see he's got one rope down, kind of wrapped around one of these horses. He's got another, and they're kind of pulling them in separate ways. Like he's got two different ropes right onto the palm of his own saddle, and like his horse is kind of struggling. You can see he's doing his best, but he's probably taking on too much.
Okay. What would help with that?
Riding test. You could do athletics test of some kind to try to like take over one of the lines, something like that.
I'll hop on Gretzky and try to do a riding test.
Okay. You hear a little Canadian whistle go off. I don't know what a Canadian whistle sounds like.
What?
Classic. Okay.
4.
Okay. So you call in Gretzky, and you see you put a sign up on the sun that looks like a horse and a maple leaf, and like all of a sudden Gretzky comes running out from like dodging through all of the stampeding cattle. You grab up on it, you swing up on, and as you come over and you kind of come over to where like Gummy is, looks like he's about to follow the saddle. You reach over, you grab the saddle, you grab one of the lines, you take one of the lines, move it over onto your own horse, and he just kind of looks up at you, and he just, "Thank you, Scarlet Justice," and he just starts kind of getting followed, kind of pulled away, but he manages to get one of these under control. Okay. Who's next?
Anna will kind of yell to Eustace, kind of on horseback, and be like, "Can you? I know you're pretty hurt there. Can you do some yelling?"
Yeah, I'm always in the mood to do some hollering.
All right, let's see if we can get some of these cows back wrangled again. So, want to try to do some hooting and hollering and try to get the horses.
All right, you doing the hooting or are you doing the hollering?
You can do the hollering.
All right.
See if we can get the healthy cows away from these affected cows.
Okay. So, what are you rolling?
Well, that's a good question.
Riding is fine. If you're on your horse, athletics is fine. Survival's fine. Any of that's fine,
riding.
Probably. Okay.
I'll stick with riding, and I keep rolling, and that's a 9.
Okay, so yeah, as a race. Okay, so you just start. So instead of like trying to rope them, you're just trying to like get the horse, getting like Devil Eyes sort of up beside them, around them, trying to get them to pace with the horse. Now you kind of group one in, you cut them off so they have to slow down, change their direction a bit, and you just kind of get them running in circles a bit. After a good couple of minutes, like you and Eustace is like he's on the back of Devil Eyes as well. You just kind of get a good crew of them. Like they're coated in blood. They look nervous and scared, but you've managed to keep like a good chunk of the stampede from kind of running back and startling the rest of this, what is now a massive herd, by the way. It is much bigger than it was before.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Eustace or... Actually, Cuspid, you already blew the thing up. That's fine. Eustace, was there something you wanted to do to try to like add to Anna's kind of corralling of the horses here?
Yeah. When we get up on certain sides, I'm gonna yell real loud and then slap one on its flank in order to guide it in the right direction.
Okay. All right. You want to roll like an intimidation or something?
I was thinking ride, but sure.
Ride? No, ride is totally fine. Because
Yeah.
you're doing this all on horseback, so that's fine.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's see what happens. Oh, that's an explosion on the D4.
Of course it is. Sure it is.
It's a 6 or a 3, so I'll take the 6.
Okay. So yeah, you manage. So as Anna's like kind of steering Devil Eyes around, you kind of lean down, and like anyone that starts to stray from where she's corralling them, you just kind of smack it right in the rear, and you see it starts moving about and kind of gets back in line. And after a while, it takes a little time between like Dawson helping out Gummy and like some of the stragglers getting rounded up. Cuspid, you probably drop 1 or 2 more of those bombs or whatever just to kind of kill the rest of these ticks. Ives, you're shooting a few as well. So between like Ives and Cuspid, you guys take the ticks out. Between Dawson and Anna and Eustace, you're able to kind of smooth the herd and collect the stragglers. And it probably takes like a good 45 minutes to an hour to kind of get things under control. And by the time it's done, you've lost somewhere in the neighborhood of about 20 cattle. Some of the new folks are, have like a twisted ankle here or there, but no one seems to be like horribly injured in any particular way. Some people are kind of vomiting still from just the sight of the horror, as the entire green grass is now just wet and red, and there's like viscera and exploded ticks everywhere. Ives, you're coated in it. The rest of you are kind of coated in it too, here and there to a certain degree, especially those that you were dealing with the ticks. But you come back, and some of the newbies are just like, what the hell was that? Like Scarlet Justice, what the hell was that? Them ain't looking like no ticks I've ever seen.
I warned you, trouble follows me.
But you took it down, man. And then you saw me struggling. And that horse just came to you. It's like you got some sort of power over it or something.
He's a great one.
Oh.
You got me. No, I think the greatness lies within you, Scarlet Justice, or Vengeance, or I don't know what the hell they call you, but praise Jack, so they say. Okay. So the night is sort of spent like washing up. Everyone's kind of cleaning their clothes out. People are kind of wandering around like in their skivvies at this point, while like there's this out of sequence wash day that's kind of happening. And people are kind of telling little stories around the campfire and such about what just happened. Some of the newbies are kind of getting into it as well. Some are a little bit more impressive than others, but overall, it's a relatively kind of decent night. However, it's sometime the next day, maybe sun's still out as well. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Man, everything's just screwed up on my end tonight. I apologize. All right, so sometime during the next day, as you guys are kind of moving around and you're still continuing to kind of weed out some of these infected cows, Cuspid, once you notice the lacerations, you start checking for that here and there, because likely what they're doing is they're crawling down the mouths of these things, like forcing them while they're sleeping or whatever. You guys make the trek across the river without much issue, and anybody, I'll say, Jack, why don't you do this? You're usually sort of like the scouting type, so roll a notice test.
Okay.
8. Actually, yeah, eight's great. Yeah, you start to notice as you pass the river, you pass by, you spend a little bit of time at this like Latham station, kind of get some resupply and such, and you hear you guys hear these stories from like Sutter and like from Bill and from Luke about your kind of nearing up on Camp Hades. Anybody know? So like some of you might know about Camp Hades or anything like that, but they kind of mention that like we want to steer clear. We don't want nothing to do with Wasatch at all. We don't want to stir up no more trouble. But Jack, like sometime shortly after you cross over the river, you start to notice that the herd, which is massive, by the way. Again, I don't want to undersell, like this thing's like a half a mile across at this point, right? You start to notice that there are several armed detachments that are starting to flank the herd here and there. You see them up on hills kind of watching you all. They don't really engage directly, but you definitely get the sense that like you've been sighted. It's impossible not to sight you. You're so huge. And sometime shortly thereafter, Jack, you notice that, and the rest of you start seeing this too, that there's you think you see, is it smoke on the horizon you see? You're not sure. And then you realize it's not. It's some sort of steam. You kind of come over, you crest over this hill, and you look down, and you see what looks like this steam wagon that's just churning across this rolling terrain. There's no track. This isn't a steam engine. This is just freely moving. And you can see it's rolling towards the herd. It's bulky. It's fairly oddly shaped. It's moving quite slowly. But you can even from this distance you can kind of hear the sounds. And from like the explosions that you just had a day or so before that kind of spooked the cattle, if it gets too close to the herd, like the whole thing's just gonna completely scatter. It's gonna run people over, and you know that if it gets any closer, it could cause a whole mess load of trouble.
Is this running on Ghost Rock?
Oh, I assure you,
Sure.
it probably is.
Does it have the telltale signs of Ghost Rock in the Steam?
From this distance, Cuspid, I mean, like you could probably theorize there's something going on. Like certainly their designs are very curious, but it's hard to be 100% certain from here.
You all want to fill me in on what we're speaking of?
I'm quite lost myself.
It's an automated carriage of sorts.
Looks like a train.
It's got no tracks though.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Eyes, as you join, and like you're all kind of on top of this, so watching this thing sort of barrel closer and closer to the herd, you actually notice something too, Eyes. There's a Gatling gun mounted behind the wagon, right on. There's a big old. You probably haven't seen it since maybe your because you were in the military, right? Military days, right?
Yeah.
Big old Gatling gun there.
I will definitely point that out. Like whatever it is, or it's hauling a whole lot of trouble. Yeah, if they got bad intentions, they're gonna cut us all down along with the herd.
Well, clearly, then the only thing to do is to ride directly. Just go straight at it. We'll see if we can parlay, and if not,
Is there any cover or anything around us so we could reroute the herd?
Oh yeah, you're in wide open wide open fields right now.
All right. I agree with Dr. Cuspid. We should go stop them before they spook the herd.
All right,
Get on out
let's
there.
get to it then.
Okay, so you guys take your horses, kind of give a look towards Sutter. Sutter kind of nods in your direction. Get the sense he's probably going to ask you to do that if you guys didn't volunteer. And you head in that direction. You head towards the steam wagon. You start to get kind of close, and you notice that it comes to a stop. You just see it. It comes to a stop. It's relatively short distance from you.
And the Gatling gun, it was being pulled behind it.
So you can see that it's mounted behind the driver's compartment of the
Okay.
wagon. Yeah.
So we're in line of sight.
It's not pointing directly at you, but at the same time, it's not pointing completely away from you either. You know? But as you're watching, you notice that a door opens up, and you can see this tall, thin man dressed in this long, like steel gray coat. He steps out of the passenger side, and you're probably at maybe, 100 feet or so, 150 feet at this point, and he starts to just walk in your direction.
I will, Jack, I'm going to leave this to you.
shall we dismount and do the same?
I think that'd be the polite thing.
I agree. Hop off our horses, start walking over.
Okay.
Anna will stay on Devil Eyes, but just kind of pace behind
Okay.
all of you.
Eustace will get on the ground.
Okay.
All fours.
You're on the ground on all fours. I am not sure how the Gatling gun operator is going to interpret that. Okay, so Cuspid, Jack are going to meet him. Who else is going to meet the guy?
Us too.
Ives.
I am.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then Eustace and Anna are kind of keeping watch in different ways.
Eustace is going up with him.
Oh, you are?
Mm-hmm.
On the ground? Okay. All right. So when you get up close to this guy is very well dressed. He's got a very kind of thin mustache. He's got these shaded goggles on. And he had he kind of looks at you. No real smile, or if there is, it doesn't really seem particularly warm. It's just sort of like a courtesy smile. And he says to you all as he sees, Jack and Cuspid and Ives kind of club and Ellsworth belly crawling or something.
No, you ever seen the later seasons of Vikings?
No, I stopped watching the later
Oh,
seasons of
well,
Vikings.
there's a character that drags his legs behind him and walks on his arms. He just does something like that to make it look
It
like
got
his,
weirder.
It's
yeah.
just, I don't know if that made it
It
any
got
better.
weirder.
He does something like that to make it look like his legs don't work.
And I
It
was
doesn't
just
really
pacing
look like
the horse around.
Yeah. It doesn't really look like he pays too much attention. He kind of focuses a little bit more on Jack and Cuspid and Ives. And he kind of looks at Anna, kind of right around on Devil Eyes. He says, "Good afternoon, ladies, or gentlemen, lady. My name is Jürgen Emmerich, and I am a representative of Wasatch Railroad, a wholly owned subsidiary of Hellstrom Industries. I'm sure you're familiar with my employer. Yes?
Right.
Good. It has come to our attention that you, or one of your fellow cowboys, is in possession of property of an intellectual nature that belongs to us. We believe you recovered it somewhere near Roswell, New Mexico, of a certain unfortunate rocketeer. No?
Nope.
I
You
don't
see-
know nothing about no intellectual property.
You can see, you can kind of start to see beneath the shaded glasses, his eyes, kind of twitch, and he lets out a breath. This property is of tremendous value for my employer, and he would like it returned post haste.
Oh,
course.
what's it look like?
There's no need to be coy.
You see him just go, he goes, and when he does that, the Gatling gun now suddenly turns and is now actually facing and pointing at you all.
And there's also no need for that. Of course we have it, and we are glad to return it. It should be returned to its rightful owner, should it not?
Yes, it should. Of course, the perceived value of the property warrants I render adequate remuneration on his behalf for your efforts in seeing it safely here. Now, in answer to your question, he kind of looks strangely at Eustace. The exact nature of said property is not something I am at liberty to discuss.
Oh, well, that's fine. I mean, I was asking so I could help, but
Sir,
but-
I would prefer if you cease your talking. The adults would prefer to have this conversation. Is that not correct, Doctor?
Well, that is true, but I assure you that he is a remarkably well-respected compatriot. I hope you
That
can
would
understand
indeed
his.
be remarkable.
I was just trying to help.
How exactly did you know whether or not he's a doctor?
Lady?
Not surprised by the extent of resources that your company likely has.
Yes. At least someone here has a brain. A courier in our employ was en route to deliver this property when he ran afoul of misguided army interdiction forces. Our sources, madam, have informed us that the army did not recover our property. Those same sources have also provided that this herd, the Lazy S, correct? And its crew were the only others in the vicinity at that time. Again, we would appreciate the return of our property. Failure to do so would not be looked upon favorably, of course.
I've already agreed to do so. You are the rightful owner, and I have no opposition to that.
Produce it, then.
But of course, I am some right away from it, but we'll be glad to do so. In fact, if you feel you would like to have somebody escort me so I'm not just trailing away, I'd like for you to take me on my honor, but at the same time, I understand if you choose to trust but verify.
If you are as aware of my employer as you seem to suggest, you would know that I do not have time for this dilly-dallying. Off, hustle, retrieve it, return.
Of course, your charm has won me over. And yeah, Cuspid will go back and retrieve it.
What do you bring him?
I'm going to bring him back the original.
What's
Not that I've had weeks and weeks and weeks to make copies.
So what is it you bring?
I'm going to bring back the schematics.
Okay.
Because I'm sure I don't think they would go through this over the rocket pack.
You are definitely on the right track there. Absolutely. Okay. Cuspid departs for a few moments, rides back. It's kind of tense. He's like looking at all of you, breathing.
Sadly, the rocket pack is beyond repair, but I'm sure your sources are already aware of that as well.
Let us see what you have. So he takes the plans. He looks at them. Kind of scans over them. Eyes look up at you all. And he throws them to the ground. You think you can pass forgeries off with me?
Oh no, that is the original.
Wasatch?
Above board, I sincerely did give him the original.
Oh, no, I believe you.
Okay.
It's not me that doesn't believe you.
I
He
got
shakes
you.
his head. He looks sort of disappointedly at all of you. I would hope this would be easier.
I'm quite confused. I can assure you that is what was procured from your man. It's incomplete.
It is. He kind of looks at it and just grinds it into the ground with his boot. You will be
Hey, isn't
hearing
that that
from us
paper we
again.
took off of him?
He looks over at Eustace, who speaks again. Heavy breath out of the nose once more. Turns on his heels and starts marching back to the wagon.
Perhaps you can clarify what it is you're needing if you feel that is not the correct item.
He looks back over towards you. These are not the originals. Whatever you have done to this, a fool could tell. You are trying to pull a fast one. And he starts to like climb up the he's on the passenger thing, like kind of clinging to it. As go ahead, Ives. You can say what you gotta say.
I was going to say, listen, it is what it is. This is what we recovered. You asked us to provide you what we recovered. This is it. And that means if this ain't what you're looking for, it is not on us. You take your grudge somewhere else.
And Anna's gonna ride up on the horse because I'm assuming that Anna is taller than him while on the horse, and will kind of ride up to him and just sort of be nodding vigorously as like Dr. Cuspid and Ives have been talking. Like, you best be believing the words of these men here. They gave you their word, and I recommend that you take them at their word.
How very eloquent of all of you. Safe travels.
And he kind of climbs back onto the wagon.
See you soon.
Closes the door. You hear as the steam wagon kind of starts to... Gatling gun kind of shifts off to the side. Doesn't seem to be stirring up. And he just sort of... The wagon starts to pull, comes towards you, but it starts to make a curve, and curve. It starts to make this U-turn. And goes back off in the direction it came. We will end there, and we will follow next time on that. Okay.
I like to imagine that Anna, like as he was getting back in, that Anna's like turns devil eyes and just kicks up a bunch of dust. So he's got like a face full of dust as he's getting back in.
You got him.
Don't worry, Doctor. We'll done steal that thing for you here soon.
That's good. I've already made multiple copies of it.
Oh, no, I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about his fancy walking machine there.
I don't know how to drive, but I would gladly learn with the opportunity.
Oh God, that would be hilarious if you guys managed to steal that thing. I would be 100% for those shenanigans. That's great. All right, that is it for tonight. It was fun to get back into this. Okay, yeah, let's do a closing round table, and then we'll get out of here because people got to go. Jeremy, tell us about this Patreon that you would like to share with us.
Sure. Aaron Reese on Patreon. You get comics, you get 5e assets, maps, other fun things. Why not?
Absolutely. Matt, what's going on, Garblack?
This Thursday, barring any more computer issues, we'll be back with Achtung Cthulhu in the finale of the Egypt chapter as the crew faces down a Panzer II rolling towards them through the desert.
Nice. Another tank. Oh, goodness. What was the plan we were going to do? I was going to teleport Jeremy on top of it, and we were just going to let him go inside the tank. Something like that.
That's what I was hoping for.
That would be delightful.
To be honest, that's what I expected.
I think that's part of the plan. And
I think Aaron's going to also lift it with his mind and throw it.
Well, they're the Jeeps, too. I can't remember if Aaron's going to do that with the Jeeps, and then I was going to port Jeremy on top of the tank, and we were going to get something like that. So this is going to be fun. Let's see. Bottom row, Adam. What's going on with Grim Perilous?
Well, a lot is going on. I think the latest thing we have going on is The Kids Aren't All Right. That is an adventure. I'm still in my Eustace voice. That is an adventure by Chuck here for Zweihander RPG. And if you want to know about what happens when all the adults in the town disappear, and how the kids decide to deal with that situation where they think they know what they're doing, but they do a horrible job of it, it's a great adventure to run. Nothing bad happens at all.
Of course not.
Happy ending.
Link is in the chat. I don't think that might not be the affiliate. So if you want to throw me the affiliate at some point, Adam, I can adjust that.
Yeah.
Chuck, what's Defenders doing?
Oh my gosh. Wednesday, we're doing some Thunder Rift using Fantasy Age. Friday, we're doing some Dungeon Crawl Classics, Dead Sun. We got Saturday. What is Saturday?
Nothing I know of. There's absolutely nothing. Nothing at all.
On Grim and Perilous Plays, we'll be doing some heart, but not more importantly, but also this week, if you're in the Kansas City area and you want to play some Zweihander with Adam and I, go check out Adventure Cafe in Casey, Missouri on Facebook, and you can sign up for the event that Adam and I will be at running some Zweihander.
Oh, that's this week, isn't it?
That is this week. That's
All right.
Thursday.
Oh, yeah. It's on my
Uh,
calendar, but my calendar isn't in front of me.
Right on. As for us here on the old Lollygaggers, let's see what we got. Friday this week is a Hunter week, so we're doing Hunter of the Reckoning. Saturday, we'll be back to Wondering a second edition. Remember that our Deadlands is every other week as we split time between Deadlands and Holler. So next Monday will be a Holler week. We'll be back for Deadlands in 2 weeks. Check out the YouTube channel. We got a bunch of different stuff up there, including just finally getting back to Mothership after a little bit of a break. And if you're a podcast person, we've started dropping new episodes. We've started dropping episodes of Wandering, which people have been wanting us to do for a very long time. So you can actually start getting that. If you want to search for Waking of Angmar wherever you get podcasts, you can actually start listening in audio only if you want to catch up that way. And eventually we'll catch up the live as well. That's it. Thank you for everyone who hung out tonight. Thank you to the players for bearing with the technical difficulties. But have a great week. We'll see you next time. Follow the way. We're going to go over to Diesel Shot now. Bye-bye.
Snap.